Processing.
Very good, thank you. Let me welcome everybody to the November regular school board meeting of the Sand Springs Board of Education. We're excited that we have a crowd with us tonight. It's always a pleasure when we get to do our business in front of people. So thank you for joining us. And this time I would like to call the meeting to order and ask roll call, please. Here.
Novel,
Here.
Wagner,
Here.
Wagers. Here. Mullins.
Here we go. Please. I pledge the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Right, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the opportunity for the public hearing, and we have none for tonight. What we do is we ask visitors to sign in with the subject that they might have, give them 5 minutes to talk. We ask if they want to do that, we sign in for a thing, then we move on to the next item, which is a really neat thing that we get to do is get some awards. I really enjoy this. And the first one is the Sandlike Pace Center Award. So you are first, Ms. Whitney. So
Okay, if I could have Carla Trow, Carrie Mackey, and Christy Guardado join me, please. I'm excited about this one because I really feel like the support we have at Sand Springs Public Schools is like beyond huge. They are the sea upon which we float. So these are, in particular, these women work for Child Nutrition Department. And they are the unsung heroes. They have been since the beginning of the pandemic. They have, like I said, they have been the sea upon which we have floated. So Sherry Pearson has decided to recognize you guys because you are phenomenal in numerous ways, and I shall read this. She says, they are outstanding individuals and work as an amazing team. They go above and beyond, and they strive always to be there for our staff, students, and parents. You've had a tough last year. These ladies have shown great caring for the coworkers and continually strive to help them by working in the cafeteria when needed and by doing whatever needed whenever necessary. There's great creativity while we work through horrible food supply shortages, which I've heard of this, and it's thank you. And always willing to do anything and can help others and still do an amazing job regardless of the tasks. They have shown patience while dealing with new software issues as they have had new duties and tasks to learn individually. Amazing, and you put knowledge and talents toward helping the department and progress toward their goals. Excellent service to their students, to your students, our students' families, while seeing each other in our daily tasks. She could not ask for a better group of people. So thank you. And you each get Sandite Pace Award. The certificate is awarded to the three of you for outstanding achievements and accomplishments in representing Sand Springs Public Schools and the community at large. Think beyond. Ms. Christy Guardado. Thank you. And we have Carrie. So, thank you. Carrie. Would you like to say anything? You've said wonderful things, so. The patience.
I don't know what I can add to that other than I love these ladies dearly. They are.
Thank you.
Where she's gonna admit where she was at Friday at Clyde Boyd. We've had some gas issues at Clyde Boyd, and that lady was flipping birds on Friday. So it really does take a team, and I good leader models service and behavior for her department, and Sherry needs the award as well. But absolutely, ladies, good job. I think they can get out of pictures, but we love them.
All right. Okay, ask you to scooch in just a little bit.
And we like each other.
That's right. All right, 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. We need the next one.
We have the privilege of honoring Ms. Huffaker and with Ms. Hamilton, Laura and Laura. Yes. And we all know that COVID and then on a personal note, Ms. Hamilton realized that you actually are a literal lifesaver.
A little bit, a little bit.
You have to-
So not only is she super awesome at the COVID and the tracking system that I absolutely cannot manage. So stabbed me with an EpiPen that saved my life. I did. I stabbed my boss. Thanks. Say anything. Get to thank you for that.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
and was there in 10 minutes, I got stabbed twice.
Right, I had the other one. I was ready. I was ready.
Teamwork, right?
Some
Teamwork.
like context to that. Because I feel like it needs to be described, but honestly, it's about having an emergency with a staff member that's under duress and having a cool head and being able to think on your feet to provide a resource that really was a matter of life or death. And so when you have an anaphylactic reaction to something, it's very scary, honestly. We kind of giggle about the capacity of Laura Heffiker and her ability to just take care of business. But the truth is, you can't really giggle about that because it's a really serious period of time. And I'm just really proud. I actually have another speech that I'm going to ask you to not kidding. She does so many things well, and that come through in a crisis is really the star tonight that we need to.
And it happens faster than you think. One of the things I was looking over, I was watching the clock as I gave her the shot and in my head documenting everything so I could document it afterwards, tell the ambulance and everything. And it was really weird because after I got her on the gurney, I looked at the clock, I was like, okay, this whole thing happened in 8.5 minutes. Like from start to finish, from her walking in my door to her leaving on a stretcher was 8.5 minutes.
Wow.
It seemed like so much longer.
And she did so good. Usually she's like a little mini tornado through the
I know.
building. But like,
When it's, I call,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I appreciate you.
Fabulous.
Appreciate you. She lives.
So you can stab her again.
The Santa Pest Pacer Award for outstanding achievements and accomplishments in representing Sand Springs Public Schools and the community at large. Congratulations.
Good job, Laura.
One, two, three. And one more. One, two, three. Thank you.
The next item is the Standout Spirit Award. The privilege of passing that out, and I'm going to take a privilege and phone Fred. I want to. Join me.
I'm Atticus with you too, so.
Mr. Bellinger is here as well.
Bellinger too. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna do this because I told my listen, it's for the Charles Lake High School HOSA students. I said, I don't have a clue what HOSA students are. So you guys are going to have to explain it to me and explain to the crowd, and then we will pass out these awards to the students that are here. So please.
HOSA is kind of our second year with HOSA. It's a Health Occupational Students of America. It's the group that we've got to get kids into the healthcare. It's kind of on the footsteps of Project Lead the Way, our STEM initiative, and the things that we've been pushing at the high school. This is kind of the next round to where we're kind of moving with it. If I address that right, and kind of cover some much I missed.
Yeah, the Health Occupational Students of America, we actually just went to a fall leadership conference with a group of students that we're about to bring up here. There are officers, and they recently just organized like a hard section activity for a lot of us at Northwoods. I know one of the initiatives that they have taken on themselves is that they want to make sure that they hit every elementary school in the district at some point with our community outreach team that's up here, and they're working on, lining up kind of get their foot in the door and their names out there. as far as HOSA, but also foster that love of science and interest in STEM activities for the next round of kids that we have coming up through the system. So
They may not realize it, and I think it's a powerful message to send. Students. It was phenomenal.
And maybe could have used their assistance with Miss Hamilton.
Well, I thought, yeah, we'll come back to do a health checkup next time. We did do blood pressure. We did blood pressure. Sean got his blood pressure done as well, a few of it, so we tested them a few when we can, so it was fine.
Well, thank you guys for what you do. Let's get some students up here and let's share. What we're gonna do for them, I'll just talk one of these first. What is the Stand Out Spirit Award? And the students, they actually get, get to get at Chick-fil-A and understand if they're not here, that these guys are gonna take. And so we gotta kind of watch it. But you all will know that everybody else got one too, so. What is this Stand Out Spirit Award? This certificate is awarded to the individuals for outstanding achievement
Macy Taylor.
And Levi McBride, that's all of me. Yep.
I think Matt, I mean, or Mr. Watkins, it's appropriate to announce all of their names. We saw him just so
All
proud.
the names on our list tonight. We also had our president, which would be Bryce. There's Bryce, Bryce Porter and Emma Hamby. Vice presidents Haley Beard, Kaylee Hall, the secretary, treasurer Jack Wright. And then we also had Chaplain Ned Bassett that were not able to go. And we had a few other of our 9th, 10th graders that were there too that weren't able to make it as well.
Ross, he's a ninth grader.
And then
Yeah, Ally Betchen.
there's a few that weren't able to make it. So
Levi, I'm gonna give these to Matt, but you're gonna make sure that he has it. Right there, so they've ordered one of these. Thank you, guys. I appreciate what you guys do and health information and health things that you guys are doing in the STEM. I happen to work in a hospital. I know how difficult it is to get qualified people that are interested in healthcare environment, stuff like that. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. And look forward to seeing you take care of us as you guys get older and learn all your stuff and we get older and be taken care of. So thank you for that. So cool.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, this too.
bring that on the refrigerator.
There you go.
All the specimens.
Well, Ms. Durkee, thank you for doing that. And I just want to say thank you for the people that make nominations. Because we would get to do that if somebody recognized that somebody did something special. And it gives us an opportunity to meet students, to meet very important superstars in our district, and we appreciate what y'all do every day, every day. So we will now move on to the rest of our agenda, and I will make the offer that if you came for that and now is the time that if you desire to leave, now is the time that's okay. But you're always welcome to stay and watch us go through the business of the district.
It was something I said.
We'll now move on to item number 6. Ms. Durkee, please, if you could walk us through discussion of student empowerment staff.
So while this part isn't in my notes, I can't let an opportunity go by without thing is the fourth year students for biomed. And Ryan just left, Dan's not here, he had another engagement, but we stuck with it. And when we started those programs, we had classroom to continue to support those programs with low class sizes and with the finance that it takes to create a program that's now expanded to capacity. And so if you walk in biomed classes, we have two of them, you'll see full sets of students in the rooms, and it feels good. And they'll tell you, they can name what occupation they want to go in, if they're interested in the medical field, and that's their purpose. And it's wonderful. Same things happening in our computer science and our engineering classes. It's a real testament to get to see students that end up in an organization for health occupations with the intention of doing that after they graduate. So I just wanted to start with there, even though it wasn't really in my notes. Big item that I feel like it's a description tonight is the first read of our transfer policy that you're going to be asked to look at tonight. We'll have the board vote for approval in December. Numbers on our website in January. As you know, the open transfer law changes happened in the last legislative session, and we were commissioned to figure out how in the world we were going to determine capacity by side and grade level. So we deliberated quite a bit with our leadership team, spent 2 pretty long meetings with our secondary and elementary leadership team to try to determine what would be the right way to approach that. And so what you're going to see is the policy first read format tonight, but then I also attached a backup that would go with that policy, FE district procedures, in my notes so that you could see, number one, the order in which we would determine capacity, meaning obviously to take care of your residents. We want to make sure we're counting the inter-district transfers. We want to make sure we're counting our homeless. We also are grandfathering in the existing transfers as well before we set the capacity. And where we landed was basically 22 students in grade 3, 24 in grade 4 and 5. And then at the middle school level, we want to have consistency in that we would like to keep our core academic classes at 28 or below, and high school at add the column of number of slots that we have available beginning January 1. We have room for about 400 more students. So the thing I want the board to know is that we typically will approve about 10% of our student population is made up of transfer students. So we accepted almost 500 this year from neighboring districts, and they're over the place. Carrie is in the audience way over there. Could probably elaborate if you have questions about that, but we do live on funding wise, the transfer students coming in, which is a good thing. So I think we attract some talent. There are some conditions under which we can deny a transfer. The first one is discipline, and there's rules behind that. Pretty clear in the law, and then there's attendance. And so I don't know if you have questions very specifically, but I know she and Ms. Arnold strategized this afternoon about a really defined reason for a transfer denial. My understanding is if a person were to be denied transfer and they were to appeal to the board, the strategy is you are tasked with making sure we follow our own policy and our procedures. And so I wanted to make sure you had those and could answer any questions. And of course, you have time to contemplate things. To support a denial, then a parent would have the right to take that to the State Board of Education, which in turn would be looking to make sure we're following our procedures and policies. So I would leave it at that. That's a kind of a nutshell. particular item.
Just curious, I appreciate what you said about the quantity in each particular grade level. But like in elementary school, we have multiple sites, and I see that some slots for a grade may have 0, some slots may have more than 0.
Right.
If a person wanted to transfer, we would tell them they are assigned to this particular site.
The way we're visioning what we currently, and I have to say, Sean Heim gave me clarity when we were talking about how to devise that. He said, what do you do now? How do you determine whether you approve or deny transfer? Now, basically what you're doing is you want to write those procedures down. In addition, second grade sections, because all 28 of those kids live in the limestone area. So just because you divide it at 24, it doesn't mean there wouldn't be a spot somewhere else. So a parent could come in and say, I want to transfer it to Sand Springs, I want to be at Limestone. Well, we may be able to accept the transfer in second grade, not at Limestone because they're full, but we might have 7 slots at Angus Valley. So that'll be part of the art of when people ask to come in, making sure they're open armed, we want to take them, but not taxing specific grade levels at a site where we have to pull. And interesting, it wanes, as you imagine, it waxes every year. So you know, the big classes move up to the next grade the next year. And so those numbers will change based on grade level and how we
Kids that are accepted this year are
Already in.
accepted next year.
unless criteria, I know they strategically sit down and define those. The law is pretty clear. One is pretty broad. Discipline would be for breaking a school rule or policy, or possession of an intoxicating substance. I don't want to say that incorrectly, or possession of a weapon. So those are the 3 kind of big ones.
Those are policies like that.
That's, yeah, absolutely. And it's part of the law too, Mr. Mullins as well. Attendance has to do with if we reported truancy. So a person who would be absent based on a legitimate reason, in other words, they have an excused absence, that would calculate into the attendance portion that would allow us to deny transfer. So we're talking about those students that have unexcused absences that don't over a period of time that you would send to truancy court for review. So it's pretty, it would be, I think, I mean, we'd take them if at all possible. Carrie, if you want to elaborate.
Already are. I mean, I think that's the great thing for us in this transfer policy is that we're already doing this the right way. We rarely deny, and when we do deny, it is already based on that attendance and discipline issue. And so, you know, we took 510 transfers this year. And so the principals do a really good job of making sure that they take kiddos and we get them in our district. So the paper that we worked on today was even to shore that up a little bit more with principals for those students that we are grandfathering in for next year, those 510. If there was a student that was having a horrible discipline issue or a horrible attendance issue, we are going to have to do like a denial form so that we can have that prepared. If they did come to you for the appeal, you could recognize, oh, they called the parent 7 times, they sent the letter, they did all of these things, and the students still continued to have poor attendance. So
I think it's important to know too, January 1 is when we open up transfers for the current school year. So on January 1, that's a holiday, so it could be the 2nd, but we'll be posting those numbers so people know. Current transfer request as of January 1 for this school year would be considered pretty quickly. In fact, schools have 3-day turnaround for us to request and receive records. We'll see how, some are a little slower than that, so we'll see how that works. But basically, that's for this school year. And those transfer requests stay on file until the end of the year. We will open up the window for transfer for the next school year, 22-23, March, the first Monday in March. which will give us time to get records, review, and then start considering in the order in which they were received by one. We'll start reviewing those. So I think it's a very fair policy. I also think the window for applying is large enough that if people want in, they have ample time. March, basically the 1st of March or the 1st of July is a long time. Of course, they can continue to apply, but again, according to the law, it's time stamped and consider first come, first served, basically.
If they can apply now to start the year in January.
January, that's correct.
Well, they
For us to have is what,
400 more.
400.
Pretty lenient. The truth is, any more than that, you guys, we would have to hire more staff. So what we did is we took a peek at our current class size and the number of kids per classroom that we have not enrolled for group, basically. In the Boyd language, you'll notice at middle school, we set an average class size. So that could mean that, you know, in a 6 period day, a teacher could have a couple of classes at 30, but you might have one class at 15. So, and that's really just a function of scheduling and how kind of confusing that is to put a student in the system that wants certain courses. It's a little bit of magic to get that to come out so it's completely even for a secondary teacher. So that's why this is very clear about average class size versus just no class over 28.
How does virtual
Virtual isn't included in our capacity number.
not include?
So all students who are full-time virtual are not included in the calculation numbers per capacity. That was a huge clarification for me, and it makes sense because they're not in the classroom. So, you know, our job is to make sure we have enough support with our virtual, full-time, and blended students, honestly, to support their instructional needs. So.
Advertise is the wrong word, but how do we let the other people know that Sand Springs is available?
Right. So interesting. I thought about that too, and we actually wrap zip code with social media. I think that's the best way. I think word of mouth is a good mechanism to spread that word. I don't know how well parents will be in tune to that. We'll be doing a dialogue, which she does on our YouTube channel pretty quick. What you're saying, but in a playground.
Yeah.
Go, yes.
To navigate through our webpage to get the transfer information.
So right now, we have enrollment is in the pop-up window. Is that correct?
And it is a statewide form, but it is on paper. And so they actually come in enrollment center and do that. And that's how we start the ball rolling on the whole process.
So what we're being told is the State Department of Ed will have a online form that will have the ability to be time stamped. We haven't seen that yet. So, you know, we are pretty creative and we devise our own when we don't have it. So that's a weird problem.
Well, and what we have is a Google sheet. Our Google sheet, exactly, it's timestamped. And so we have that divided by each site. And the principals go in, they work it all year long. And Miss Pam Front is the queen of transfers. She's amazing. And I'll hear her on the phone with the principal and she'll say, oh, you've got to take this kid. It's the
You can't. That's just
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. It took some, we were all scratching our heads, and OSSBA policy didn't come out very quick. They were waiting for SDE rules on how this was supposed to work. I haven't seen SDE rules as of yet, and it's November. So we wanted to go through the practice that we like to in terms of doing a first reading and then a vote. We needed to get it on. And so, thanks to Counselor Watts, he took their language and said it would be better if you did it this way. And so, anyone that's read Counselor's language much would be able to detect the penmanship in that one. I'm sure he does a great job. So we're very comfortable with where we're at.
I really like about the way you presented this. We're taking care of our kids. We're making sure our kids are taken care of. However and then if there's others that want to join us because of what we've got, we are an attractive district, and we're taking care of all the kids that will come here.
Right now, there's no stipulation in law that allows for support staff. But I'm hearing there's language in the works for the next legislative season already. So I would look for that to be a change that we'd have to put in our policy too. And this has to be reviewed quarterly. So one of the things that we're planning on doing is putting our capacity online and then figuring out a way to systematically make that change every time we get a transfer approval. That way I'm not a parent and want my son in Pratt and see old data and think, oh, well, Pratt has 4 slots in third grade. Why aren't you letting him in? So we need that to be real time. It's be a little bit. I was not teasing when I was teasing Laura half of her about, I think I need another spreadsheet. It could be the case that I really do need her to build another spreadsheet to see. But we're on top of it. I love our team. It was really hard to.
Any other questions or any other commentary on that or any other subject?
Finance. Our team's going to be super excited about getting one that's not quite tedious is the one we're using. So thanks to Ms. Moses. And then just a little mention of policy PKBB. You'll notice that that's a recension. It has to do with board members' visits to school with a lot of stipulations about must be escorted and blah, 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 blah. That is the same letters that OSSBA uses for social media. And so when we knew we wanted to put a social media policy in place, Ms. Earl's the queen of policy, no doubt. She said, we have a duplicate. And so that was a Julie Miller phone call question. She goes, we don't even recommend that policy. Well, I'm recommending you rescind it. So that's what we're asking tonight on an action item. Not because of anything abnormal, but because it's a native policy.
I also want to say, Superintendent Durgan, kind of everything that you're looking at tonight, definitely, it goes to the policy committee. They understand what first read looks like, part looks like, but they, each site has representative on the policy committee. So they just had a chance to kind of look over this and they know what's going where and what we're presenting to you guys. So it gives the sites kind of a look at what's going to happen. And in reality, nobody said anything. So, it was a Zoom meeting, but we're sitting in the Zoom meeting. Anybody have any questions? Crickets. So apparently everybody understood, what was presented. And I'm sure some questions will come up, as we go into the next read. But other than that, everybody seemed to be really happy with the way it was laid out and no confusion or questions.
Any other questions from the board?
That does conclude that section.
Thank you very much. What I'd like to do next is we'll move to item number 7, and then follow that with the last few of the district.
We do have some visitors, absolutely.
So we'll move item 33 and 34 following item 7.
Okay, that sounds great.
Everyone's okay with that?
Absolutely.
So please, Mr. If you walk us through the resource innovation item number 7.
Very briefly, I'm just going to say revenues looking up. So we track it, and Greg and I are pretty astute at trying to figure out. We also know economies can be volatile, and so we're not quite through him on board. I saw Jennifer, I think she left our transportation director, but, you know, we're not past every person in the transportation department driving a bus. And that happened earlier this week. And if you don't know, prior to 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, then you're scrambling to get people on buses to drive to get to school. So it is a real thing in terms of just people, being able to hire people. Roof repairs from the hailstorm, I know that seems like forever and a year ago. It's almost 2 years ago. Getting close to completion. Kavod continues to send roof repair reports to me and the board, so thank you for doing that. I want to walk through a little bit of what we're going to be asking you to vote on, and that's our remodel phase for the virtual academy. I know during the bond election with the public, we talked through back in 2019 about what in the world are we going to do with that old building. There was a point in time I kind of was scratching my head going on. I don't know if it's possible. I think it takes creativity of someone like Jeannie Kvach to see a broader vision than maybe what I can see. But we have, as you know, almost reached completion of the first floor to solve the enrollment problem. And just that user friendliness of new people coming into the district and seeing a very streamlined process of how do I get my kid in Sand Springs Public Schools. And that's been a big frustration of mine. I know parents as well for a while, and we're almost there. I believe we have furniture scheduled to be delivered
Tuesday, and then by the end of next week, we'll have a final clean. So I invite the board to come and look at it.
We will have an open house. It was so great. The next phase of that to empty the 3-story building would be getting the virtual student out to the second floor of the manual arts building. If you drive by now, you'll see sod and stamped concrete with handicap accessibility so that we're not having to ugly up the front of the building with a rail. I mean, it just looks phenomenal. Window cleanup will make it look like you have brand new window. It's amazing what a little bit cleanup and remodel can do. So I'm very anxious for you all to see that space. So on the board agenda tonight in action is bid package to complete the remodel of the second floor, which used to be the science labs back in the day, which by the way hasn't been that long ago, for us to move Virtual Academy over. So it'll mimic what we've done with the first floor, and then we're going to be having an open house really soon, as soon as I can put one on the schedule. I know we did the remodel for our IT department, who will be taking over the old cafeteria, complete with the loading dock that has been repoured and some steps. And so just the ease of,
I have room for stuff.
the ease of bringing in big shipments and staging in Chromebook distribution is going to be so much simpler than it has been in the past. So our team's very excited about the possibility of that building.
We feel that that will open the third floor.
It will make it less needed.
That's on a to-do list. Sullivan's, as you know, in that building. So her team,
I'm not even sure what all's in there because I'm quite frankly afraid to go into that space like time. But some of it already got cleaned out because as part of the remodel process, construction needed into that space. So the process has begun. We're not very far away from getting to shut that door and lock it and walk away.
that would be a very, very good thing. So we still are in this place where we're separated by a parking lot with 2 buildings, whereas our administrative team and services are still disconnected. And so the idea would be able to get the 3-story building suitable for occupation, for finance, for curriculum, for special education, and then superintendent area as well. So we think we can do it. We think we can do it with a price tag that is doable based on pulling from the stimulus dollars that we now have available with a little bit of additional building money, while at the same time getting the PE gym that's at the high school up to speed so that our coaches do that and have it devoted for varsity and junior varsity basketball, 9 through 12. So Ms. Kavacha is working on, the space for the remodel. You have a rough draft in your folder tonight. I wanted you to be able to see a floor plan. Be more than willing to get questions about that for sure. Plan that allows at least, it allows for expansion as well. So if you spare offices to provide for growth. And of course, the idea would be eventually to remove the office that I'm currently in finances in alongside the gym. I hate to say that out loud, sorry, I know our basketball team loves that space, but you all know the kind of shape it has been in the last several years. So, it's a little rough around the edges for sure. So I would enter these questions. Again, I wanted you to see this way in advance. With the approval for the virtual academy remodel, we think that we can have completed by May of next school year and have the fall of 2023 target date. So there was a timeline that I shared with you guys. You kind of get mind wrapped around it before we really ask for public note later.
So the proposal tonight is for the second floor of the east-west hallway,
Manual Arts Building.
manual arts building, not the south hallway.
Right.
East-west.
Includes
That's correct.
one room in what I call the art room, which is the north-south hallway, and then a restroom in that hall. It includes painting and a piping in the gymnasium as well as the second floor. We will get rid of one of the chillers then, and then we will use that electricity to run our rooftop units that we're providing heat and cooling throughout those two floors. So his heating load and cooling load. I remind him we don't have kids in those rooms. And so he's going to go back and look, try to evaluate, do some engineering and reduce our costs a little bit. And I think he had a 30-ton in the gymnasium. And I said, we only have 9 to 20 cheerleaders in there, maybe.
The small gym for the.
Is a small gym, right?
Basketball gym.
Right.
We refer to that as the MA gym. The MA gym, the manual arts gym. So that's.
So anyway, we're looking at the heating load and trying to reduce some costs in that. And there's a lot of little minor things that added to this that we didn't have in the first bid down below. I think the costs are justifiable, but still we've asked him to cut his costs a little.
Those that you just described is not this.
It is.
So that is not that.
Not this that you handed us tonight.
What did you?
I get that 3-story. That's not it.
North, south.
Oh, that is the. Is that the one I gave you?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the
the 3-story
building,
yeah.
Mr. Mullins. Yeah.
That's the next phase, right?
I got you.
I'm already working toward that 3-story.
I'd like for you all to see it. This is well in advance because that's a little bit more of a major undertaking than what the MA building has been.
Do you have a sketch of what is being proposed for tonight?
I do.
I mean, you described it very well. I understand exactly what you said. I don't think I can do it.
I think you gave him.
I can certainly resend that over. Sure. Yeah, but you're looking at that one east-west hallway that comprised picture the Smith's room, the science lab on the second floor. I think Jessica Sprague. I start thinking about.
So the science lab will become the virtual lab. It's all computers. And the far west classroom will be 2 offices. And then there will be 2 unused classrooms that will remain unused, but one of them will be an employee. They feed the kids there, so one will be used for eating. And then one other classroom was divided into two offices. And then I was able to, there's an old science room down by the elevator that never got remodeled. And we're gonna make a coffee lounge and a storage out of that. So essentially, that's what's happening on that floor.
All of these locations that you described are acceptable to the elevator.
Yes, yes,
That's a three-story building. It has about 10 different levels. So
yes. And remember, building, it had the boys on one floor and the girls on the other floor. So in this, when you visit the site now, the city worked with us and we were able to get two unisex or two family bathrooms in there. So each bathroom has a stool, one stool and one sink, and one even has a baby change station downstairs for public. We will duplicate that upstairs. We just won't have the baby changing station. And so that will be unique to almost every floor except the third floor of the east wing, where we have a nice new set of gang toilets when we put the elevator in. And we'll just keep those. We'll just redo some of the tile.
I am copying.
I think you all will be pleased. They were able to get a nice smooth finish on all of the walls, color will last for quite some time on the lower level. And we're gonna duplicate that upstairs.
I just blind copied the board on a forwarded email from Jeannie with those plans attached.
Can you copy me on it?
I can just send it, but I'll forward it to you. I just sent it. Any other questions for Jeannie what these? And we will bring that item up, but now's the time to ask questions. We're really excited about the opportunity.
I appreciate Jeannie much of putting plans together for us and making things work.
Well, and the two-story, we were able to get everything. That is a very sturdy concrete T roof over there. So we were able to get those units up on the roof. And the three-story wing, we're going to do just split units, just almost residential type heat and air. And so we won't have it on the roof up there. And I think, and then we have an area to capture some space there too.
Question?
Very nice.
I've been talking about this Jumbotron for a month or so now. We're getting ready to move that item, but it fits well with that item because I want to make mention and answer any questions. Mark is here from electronics to make sure you put him, to the litmus test, ask him all kinds of questions, as well as Rod Sitton. But this was an opportunity that we have to do a lease purchase for something that's pretty significant that I think will improve our program. As I described earlier, what sold me honestly is not the really cool digital video format, which is kind of cool, and sound system, but we have the opportunity to have a curriculum package that can lend itself to a class of students that would learn how to do digital media and broadcasting in a big way that would literally promote another career pathway for anyone that wanted to go into that kind of field for work. And so that was paired with the pretty phenomenal, cool piece of equipment. That was a good bonus for us because, we've had Stand.tv TV before. I would like to see, and we have some interest with staff that would like to see it be more robust in terms of broadcasting games, much like we used to. And it's been a few years since that has happened. So
Absolutely. That was the first criteria. Absolutely.
Something like 97 deadline, that's what you say. I will say this, we were testing the sound and he brings a unit and sat in the corner just to hear. And I know Mr. Gunn was invited and show up until it was all shut down and closed up, but, they were actually having a meeting in this room and they had to stop the meeting. I got a phone call. Sean goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Listen, we have Mark for just
So you need to turn it down.
turn that down. Which, by the way, led to a call to the city to ask if there was some city ordinance regarding sound. And got the big answer that they had is no. Specifically during sporting events, people don't really say a whole lot, so that was good. But it's a big expenditure. I'm asking the board to allow us to spend a little bit of money. I will say that when our football coach, Bobby Klink, spoke at the chamber today, and he is one impressive guy. When a person can articulate a vision, not only care about the game of football winning, I'm not going to deny that I'm as competitive as the next person, but also trying to generate young men that are, good dads and husbands and citizens and all those things. I think it's something that you can stand behind and promote. And so I don't know if Rod would want to add anything about just kind of the look of not just Sandike football, but Sandike athletics in terms of where we want to be. I hate to speak.
Just moving from it. I'll tell you, this is actually one of a quote from one of the superintendents that we compete against. If it'll pull up for me again here.
Expecting you to quote me, Rod. I'm kind of.
Well, I Mr. Klink a lot, Coach Klink, but it's usually while I'm in the stands and he's talking to one of the kids that's coming off the field. I hear him speak a lot. This is from, I won't say the district, from a high school on up, neighboring schools or competing for students, which kind of goes with what you were talking about. For some students, a school's athletic program is a deciding factor. And for sure, and as you guys may know or may not know, we can't have contact with anybody that's not involved with our district. So the way we recruit, as you know, is through facilities and by what, and I think we got the right personnel. So now we're trying to make sure we have the right facilities to draw those people in. And I think you'll see some of that in the next couple of years. I mean, we're making some huge strides forward. And not just football, I mean, it's athletic department wide.
The backside of this look like, because I'm just looking as the people are driving down out of those.
Well,
They're not gonna see the front side of it.
Right. The only guys
Always
do this.
plan
Mark, I don't
that-
have it.
Yeah, the back of it is just a solid black. I'm meeting actually with a former Sandike tomorrow to discuss putting a backlit Sandike Minuteman head on the backside, so when you come down the road, you'll see that. That's what you'll see. Well, they want to see it, they can buy it. Pretty much, yes.
Bill said. More than just at a football game. And so that created a little bit of stir with neighborhood like.
This neighborhood, you're a bit about Broadway's red and sign.
Right, so we'll see.
So
Work through that.
this board is,
LED screen on the backside with rolling advertisement.
I see, Fulton Park, baseball fields on the Fulton.
Yeah, I just,
Looks
we'll keep our neighbors happy as well, so there's that.
at 36 feet wide, it goes from the corner of this wall over here all the way to that wall. That's how big. So you have a visual.
So I know the sound package is included in this. So that's obviously the speakers and the amplification. How much of that is guts up in the press box?
Everything's brand new.
Everything's brand new.
Everything's brand new, wireless mics, referee mics,
Ear monitor. Yeah, I mean, communications with selection announcers, right?
So Rusty won't be garbled anymore.
I was gonna say, have that thing arrested mode and
He's
not.
not screaming anymore. He can just talk at an
Oh, no,
Will it come out the speaker when say it or 8 seconds later? All right.
How often do those mics need to be replaced?
The batteries need to replace. Brand, sure. They're very reliable. That's why we go with them. You're gonna. Here's a great way. It's not working in AA batteries. The challenge is that the changes in frequencies and all that continue to now progress quicker than in the past.
Well, the challenge is when you drop it so many times, drop the mic. Hey,
Say something good, you gotta drop the mic.
that's the challenge.
FAA has changed frequencies and that is hurting all of the schools, right?
For that,
Yeah.
we're dealing with that.
You know, school boards aren't meant to last forever either. And so you would just
Say school board.
School board.
I thought it was-
From the Floridian slip.
Scoreboards aren't meant to last forever. Neither are superheroes probably, but, gosh, dang, I had a thought that was super good and now it's gone. Oh, then that's on year 13. And so I know Mark was talking about the replace of, I believe Jinx is the school that you said that was looking to replace, trying to get another year out. But I mean, you're looking at technology that has a lifespan. And so, 10 to 12 years.
We're not allowed in those things. But, another thing to kind of visualize is that the display total is 36 feet wide, but it's also 37 feet tall. And it's going to be 10 feet off grade to the bottom of the equipment. So you're going to be 47 feet in the air to the top of the sound cabinet. So access is important. Access to the upper level of that is really not much of an issue, even with the audio. But you will get spare parts for your video board. You'll get spare parts for your audio cabinet as well. The modules are actually, you can access from the front or the back. You'll have a little key that basically you turn, it pops out. Plug one in, make sure all the cables are connected. It's really become very simple to repair those things.
The software that comes with it, I mean, obviously, we want to watch it for football games, we have soccer, we have band things, we have graduation year last year. Is there other software that allows us to have those canned programs, if you will, or is that something that?
A lot of that will be created by, hopefully, your students. That's the way the curriculum is set up, is train your workforce, so to speak. I've told in our meetings about one of the schools that I really admire what they've done with curriculum is at Deer Creek. They've got a smaller version of board that you're going to get. But they have utilized the curriculum, I think, better than anybody else in the state of Oklahoma for sure. To the point where they're taking their curriculum even down to their middle school, to their junior high. It allows them to do two things. Number one, they're training those kids at a younger age. They're developing kids, crews that can work non-varsity nights, youth football time, where you get more exposure and more use out of your board. And then when those kids graduate into the high school, then the star performers are identified and they're put in key positions. I saw a production of what they've done, and what's really neat about it is it's a group of kids that otherwise aren't involved on a Friday night. They're probably not at your game. They're going to be at your game, and not only that, they're going to be tremendously involved. They're going to work all week long putting together a script and a program. And then what they do there is they recognize every kid on the roster, every football player, number 1 through 99, headshot, statistics, height, weight, blood pressure, everything. And then when that's done, then they say your production crew for tonight, and then they show the camera operator, they show the replay guy, they show the show control person. And at the end of that, there was as big an ovation for your production crew as there was for the football players. And those kids become Friday night stars, and they throw chest out. They're very proud of what they do. They're very, very good at what they do. And just real quick about the curriculum is our curriculum is built obviously to teach people how to utilize the software and everything that is there. It teaches them everything from camera operation to content to production, direction, and obviously all the things in between all that. There's 27 different disciplines that come out of our curriculum that lead those kids in a career path. We also have enough saturation in college markets that we own the lion's share. Numbers vary anywhere from 75 to 85% of colleges have our equipment in place. So the kids that are learning it in your junior high and high school can go to college and operate the same system. It's the same equipment. Now, granted, at some of those places, it's kind of on steroids. It's mega stuff, but it's the same concept, the same thing that they're being taught. And then from there, saturation in major league sports, baseball, hockey, basketball, and football is such that we're in the curriculum for them to go to work at the local TV stations, at network television. We've got kids that have started in our program and they're working for ESPN. And some of them even are working as they become on-air personalities because they get involved in all of this and then, become reporters. For sure it's,
I think it was, I think that was.
So it's a very broad curriculum, and it's if used properly, it's very successful. The program that we're offering to you all, and it's the first one in the state of Oklahoma that we've had, actually creates student workstations beyond just saying, okay, here's a curriculum, you teach it. We're actually providing licenses for multiple stations so that your kids actually have a place to work in the classroom on the same software and the same programs that they'll be working on Friday nights. Now, the question to do cameras in multiple locations, close up, far away, various things like that. Really, the only thing that limits you is your own imagination. Because
Athletics, Xbox.
No. No.
IT department.
No.
Although, kind of on those lines,
Moving on.
I have heard that you could have, because esports is on the horizon, that you could have esports like tournaments and championships right out here.
So that one I'll say yes.
I think, yeah, that's the queen of.
Why, Mr. Bynum? I need this pillar taken out. Window right there. That's an, and I need that.
I think you could see the board too.
They have it in the northeast corner, kind of at an angle, pointing back towards between the building and the stands. I'm just thinking of the late sun in the August, and the sun will shine right on the thing. Is it bright enough that will overcome direct sunlight?
It is 1080, it's high definition, 1080 p. You got it. So the answer is absolutely, absolutely.
our boards are built for that. Direct sun, if you're playing Sunday afternoon or Saturday and you got direct sunlight, the visibility will be amazing. You'll be amazed. And obviously at night, turn the brightness down because it'll be too bright. Actually, that's going to keep the life of your bulb by turning down as much as it burns. This is a surface mount. And we can get really technical with this and a long conversation, but these are surface mount LEDs as opposed to the old through hole, two wire, see-through board and solder on the backside. These are little packages that create a smooth surface. We put loopers on the front that creates dark spaces that allow for greater contrast viewing. And our LEDs are the finest that are available in the whole world. And I'm saying that very confident. You check it out if you like. But we use the highest quality components to do this. The actual star of the show is the black space we create, and creates a contrast that makes your picture much more vivid, much brighter than normally what you would normally expect to see. Competitors are going to burn theirs at 100% all the time. They have to. It's the only way they can be enough to do it. And so you can do the math on that. I know we have an engineer. You're in charge of math here, so you figure out how many hours in a year you're going to lose by burning at 100% all the time. And that's something that's non-factor to us.
Well, right, April is what we think we can have by next football season, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I got a note today, an email today that said orders placed today in the system moving forward were late February delivery. So we're looking, honestly, our goal in all of this and offering these incentives is to move some orders up so that we can fill some early space, because we anticipate next summer to be number one, a crush, number two, with parts, shortages get worse instead of better. We see later orders, like people normally will order January, February, they're not going to have their orders for football season next year. By getting ahead right now, like you guys are doing, you're going to have to work for next year. And we don't see anything that's standing in the way of that right now.
Heard him. Everybody was about to witness.
I know it's not doing, and I had a conversation with Mr. Turkey last night, because it's 40 by 40 by 40 feet here, but it's saying you get a lot of wind here. There's a tremendous structure that's got to hold that thing up that we're responsible for. There's a tremendous power, this thing will be kilowatts of power is what the display uses. A tremendous electrical load. I'm about the infrastructure to do that. She assured me that we've got the funds in our building fund to take care of putting the structure in place. We'll get the design. We'll drill piers that are 30-foot deep to hold this thing up. We got a tremendous steel structure that we got to build that you get your structure on, and then we're going to run a tremendous number of conduits and wires from that unit to this unit and get an internet access into this box. There's a lot of infrastructure that go along with this, and I've been assured that we know all about all those things, and we got the right people, and how to make all that stuff work, and it's not really a problem. So
I'm more worried about the mouse traps, so they don't eat the wires up, but I'm worried about it.
Let's make a motion, we approve item number 33.
Second.
Does any more?
We do them separate.
We do either way.
I mean, so ultimately 34 which gives you the authorization for this lease purchase.
Correct.
So I would combine those two, also make a motion that we would add.
Everybody to approve on 33 and 34, which would be to purchase on a lease purchase for a lot of money over the next 5 years, and be installed, and then also have that lease purchase with the finance.
Right.
Any questions or further discussion? I call for vote, please.
Jen.
Aye.
Malcolm.
Aye.
Winters.
Aye.
Black. Aye. Molly.
Aye, I'm excited.
Very excited.
This is kind of cool. Thank you, Mr. Sitton, for putting it together. And Gene, I know that you were involved with some of this too.
No, I wasn't, no.
He's on vacation.
Oh,
Was.
Not good.
Well, I'm. Am I lying by saying anything now?
So you can.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you
talk about, but currently our numbers are down. For kids 5 through 11. I have no idea how many families are currently choosing to take advantage of that, but I do know the boosters for Moderna, which is what our staff had, are available for our people. So I think that's helpful in kind of that shift in conversation from just COVID to other things that we need to talk about, including wellness policy, and nutrition, and fire safety, and all the other things that play into the safety protocols of the school districts. That is,
So we promoted that to our staff. You send emails out to our staff that is available for the spoon run.
I did. I got a text from Jim Spoon a week or so ago. That was the first I'd heard that the Moderna boosters were available, and so I made sure I sent all staff out, because that was, for the most part, the second, the bigger campaign we did back in the spring. So they know they're available. They're, literally walk in the spoon drive. So
Go to support staff as well.
everybody that was able to get a Moderna, yeah, absolutely. So even board members, I know, but a couple that took advantage of our vaccine clinics here. So, and that is the conclusion of health and safety. Ready to
Item number 9, health and safety issues. We'll move to the consent agenda item.
things to bring to your attention. Item number 23 is unique. We became notified that Bach Portrait Gallery had a check that we issued for February of 2018 that had not been cashed yet. So we're asking the board to approve us to reissue that, and we do owe them the money. Item 24 is an action item to approve the Sand Springs Education Foundation the ability to accept donations on behalf of the extension of home education scholarships. I'm going to go on record and say I was not in favor of that bill expansion for education scholarships. I don't think it does a lot for our public education system, and I just want to go on record saying that. However, to leverage what we can based on what's allowed by the law, we wanted to make sure our foundation was able to accept donations. So that would be the reason for that one. And item number 25 would be connected to the new estimate of needs. I don't know if Mr. Moore.
Estimate of needs. It just basically says that, Michael Willis at Tulsa County Clerk Office has signed on our estimate of needs, and we received it back. There's nothing, obviously nothing changes on it.
And then 26, first read of the policies that I've mentioned some before. Social media was one that Ms. Chittister helped us define. Did a little bit of work comparing some social media policies that were in other districts, and we were able to utilize those and word them the way we wanted to by using OSSBA policy. So you'll have an opportunity to review those as well. And then sick leave for the certified personnel clarified the FML language regarding close family members that we didn't feel was clear enough in our policy. So again, first read. I don't know if you had an opportunity to read through them, but obviously would entertain any questions you might have regarding the policy.
Mr. Entertainer, a motion to approve the consent agenda item.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Wagner, a second by Ms. Wagers. Any questions about any particular item? Any discussion, further discussion? A vote, please, to approve the consent agenda item.
Gunn.
Aye.
Apple.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Wagner. Aye. Mullin.
Aye. Item number 27. Proposed executive session to discuss employment. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 28 and entertain a motion to approve the employment of the positions listed.
A motion to approve employment.
By Ms. Wagers
Second.
and a second by Mr. Novel. Any questions? Thank you for finding people for us. And we have positions.
Good trick. We
that
are, I think, completely staffed at this point, other than the new position that we just posted for homeless liaisons. That feels really good. I think we're in a better place than most other districts across the state. I mean, being an employer has been a real trick, and not just for the education industry, but across the board.
So we're where we're at.
And having a staff that is dedicated. An entire school.
We were able to hire a virtual tutor. My favorite comment of staff of the week was by our virtual teacher, and she said, Sean,
She said, I can't believe you pay me to do this. This job is so much fun.
so that.
He also said, please don't take my pay.
Honestly, no, that's a statement about culture, and she's loving what she does, so that's.
It's a lot for our district.
I think
So
so.
thank
too,
you all
so.
for what you do. We have a proposal to approve the employment. One second. Call for vote, please.
Waiters.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 29, discussion and possible board action to pass the 2022 annual school election resolution.
Standing, action item every single year. It's office number 2, Mr. Mullins. Just making note that the filing period is December 6th through December 8th for anyone that would be interested.
Make motion to approve item 29.
Second.
Yeah, and this
Hire
is,
Stephen McDonald.
those are the folks that do our financial consulting every year. We've been completely happy with their work.
I'll make a motion with step either the text proposed.
Any questions or discussion? Call for vote, please.
Gunn. Malcolm.
Aye.
Waiters.
Aye.
Aye. Mullins.
Aye. Item number 31.
And that was the policy I referred to. There was a duplication of the letters. And so we're asking for a rescission of that. It was about board member visits to schools with its parameters around it. It's not one that's recommended by OSSBA anymore. And so we're asking the board to vote to rescind that.
Let's run through the halls. We want
You could do stuff, yes. Call me and let me know and I'll run them.
to check it out.
I move to approve. Move this all.
So we have.
Gunn.
Aye.
Waiters.
Aye.
Aye, I believe. Anticipated
There is not.
whatsoever, so I would ask Mr. Judd to make a vote.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Put it as a second. Call for the vote, please.
Gunn.
Aye.
Malcolm.
Aye.
Waiters.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for recognizing that it's 9.